Neo's in a major spot, closing at that $4.50 level, hovering right above that $4.46 support. So we've gotten that very nice breakout of these two resistances, this major resistance stemming from that $7 level, that $7.70 level, that being the high of the last breakout. And now we've broken out of that range, gotten that very nice breakout and continuation, tapped right around that $5.20 level, gotten that rejection, and we've kind of seen a lot of ping pong back and forth action. So should we expect another bounce here at this support level, or is it finally time that the sellers retrace price a bit further? Now guys, on the weekly chart, just like we analyzed in the past Neo videos, we've seen that price gotten into these descending triangle like patterns, right? We've had a big shutdown. Once we hit that level around that $16 psychological level, we got shut down all the way to the floor, right around that 330, holding slightly above that on this descending triangle here. So we form this descending pattern, get that bounce, get that nice move up, find resistance at that $6 level, chop down here. We meet right back up with that double bottoming right here, and we get a nice movement out. And that forming the most recent resistance that we've just broken out of. So that was around 107% movement, very large movement. Buyers in that ultimate control, only taking 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 weeks roughly. Very quick and aggressive price action. And from there, we tapped around that level, got shut down, and we kind of form another descending like triangle. Right, if we zoom in here, we see that at the bottom of this longer term descending triangle, we get a triangle like pattern, hit the floor of around 338, get a push up, form this resistance with this kind of double bottoming formation, get very, very tight as we break out of that, as well as that long term major resistance. And we see nice buyer continuation up to that $5.20 level. That's where you see a little bit of indecision. Sellers try to push us down. See very nice buying pressure on that more recent candle here. Sellers try to push us down and buyers buy right back up. Not fully getting to the top, but around the top. But currently, this most recent week, we've seen sellers in that ultimate control bring us right back down to the floor. We still have 3 days to go on the week, so the week's not over, right? Buyers could buy this thing back up, seeing another kind of bottom wick, longer bottom wick, showing that buying pressure. But as of right now, seems like we still have that back and forth going on. Sellers and buyers battling it out to see who can get that movement either up, breaking that 520, or downwards, breaking that 440 to 450 level, looking for that further retracement. If we look at the past here, though, guys, once we broke out of this resistance, we've gotten that around 100% movement. Now we've broken out of a smaller resistance and now a more major resistance. So the upside definitely looks a bit more promising, but we do have a lot of back and forth. So we're going to trend to the daily to see what we can see and what we should be expecting. All right, guys, now trending to the daily, we see that smaller triangle resistance level. So we've gotten that major descending triangle after hitting that 770, gotten that very volatile shutdown. Price is extremely volatile in this range, right? We get that big move up. We get that big retracement. Price tries to bounce here, forming a double bottom, but we cannot, and we flush further down. Price tries to consolidate between that 520 and roughly that 440 level, kind of come back down on a different consolidation of that $4 psychological level and that 440. Lots of back and forth, getting a little bit tighter, find that movement up, hit that resistance once again, get pushed down, try to test it one more time, and that's where you see that further shutdown, getting under that 330, getting back above it, and then we see very tight price action on Neo, something we aren't used to seeing, right? We see all this volatile chop. Once we get down here to this range where somebody has to win, we're meeting up with this resistance and the support level here, kind of double bottoming. Somebody has to win, and we see very tight price action leading to a nice breakout of that range, completely break out of that resistance level right here, and we follow it up, completely breaking out of that major resistance. And the good thing here, yes, we do see a little bit of selling pressure here, but the buyers continue their movement out, not getting that pullback, and we really continue strong for the buyers up until that 520 level. Once we see the top of that 520, we get shut down pretty hard to the floor, that being around a 13% range. You see one green candle on this formation out of 6 candles total. You see very volatile buyer aggression. 2 candles here almost pushing us right to the top of that range, but we hold lower and we get shut down again, now in a volatile fashion for the sellers. 2 red candles pushing us right back down to that support level. So we see that the sellers try to push us under that level, given that bottom wick. So sellers try to really gain that movement, just like they did in the past. Buyers tried to buy it up, bought it up a little bit, but we still trend towards the bottom of that range. So the next day or two of price action for Neo will be crucial, whether we're going to see a bounce here and kind of stay in this range, trying to chop around and get that retest of 520, or if we're going to flush here and sellers are going to finally find their pullback, as we are slightly overextended. Like we marked up around a 45 to 50% movement. So we've seen that little bit of a pullback, and we've kind of found our range chopping, kind of in a flag and pull like structure. That breakout being the pull and getting in a little bit of a chop. Not a textbook flag and pull, but definitely a little bit of something there, and notable enough to see that we've had that big move up. We've gotten that volatile chop, and now price is in a position where we're either going to continue the chop here, where there will be a winner. The buyers will either break through this range or the sellers will break down the range. Right now, we're looking for that test with the sellers. Last time they tested, they were unsuccessful. They did kind of hold the buyers slightly lower than last time. Sellers do have a bit of momentum on their side here. We do notice that volume had a pretty nice notable spike as we broken out of these ranges. And you see another notable spike when we kind of get that buyer control back. And now since the sellers gain that control, you see it starts to dry up a bit. So definitely what you want to see here is a spike in volume, kind of doing something like we saw here, as the buyers need to step in for the stock. If they can't step in, we'll be looking at ranges of around that $4 psychological level for a bounce. Could be getting a bounce a bit higher, right? We've seen an obvious low support range right around that 420 zone, right? That being an ultimate trend shift, getting above that level right here. See an obvious gap down from that level there. So that is a level that could be impossible play. We do remain bullish on Nio, given that very nice price action and very nice breakout, right? We've broken out of a very major zone. Last time we got that breakout, guys, we saw a over 100% movement. And now this is a more major resistance zone. So can we see a pullback? Yeah, it's definitely possible. Kind of pull back to this $4 level and continue the run up after that. But I still lean with the buyers here. I think that we can get this bounce correct. Retest this as long as we get a nice movement up. We don't hold lower again. If we hold lower again and the sellers get that movement back down, then you're going to be seeing an obvious descending type of pattern, as every single time we try to get back up, we hold lower. Got that peak, came back up, held lower, came back up, held slightly lower. So if we did get that bounce, came back up and held lower again, that would be an obvious weakening sign for the bulls. The sellers were in that ultimate control. You don't really see wicks here. You don't see a lot of buyer fight. You know, if you zoom in, you do see that the buyers fight for that position as they try to get to the bottom of that range. For the most part, sellers were in that ultimate control. So not great to see for the bulls, but I do still predict that we get this bounce here. If not at that exact 446, I would be looking around the top of this kind of breakout candle here, that being that ultimate 440 level. If we can break through the high of that $5.50 level and that $5.80 level, definitely would be looking nice for a retest of the top, which would be that 520. All right, guys, take you to the hourly. We see that nice run up in a stair step like pattern, right? We're getting these nice movements up. So nice break of that shorter term descending triangle, continue their move out of that more major descending triangle. Smaller pullback, nice gap up, move up, smaller pullback, nice movement up, smaller pullback. You get the picture. Nice stair step pattern. The buyers really continue that move to that 520, and then you see the inverse. Sellers gain that ultimate control. Buyers try to get their push back up. Hold lower here. Get that move to the floor, gap down. This is where buyers try to gain that control. A little bit of spike in volume, and we try to make that move back to that 520 zone. Once again, hold slightly lower, come back down, try to get that move again, and hold lower once again. So we're seeing a descending pattern and slight bear signs, and followed up with that is some very strong seller price action, pushing us right back to the floor here. This time, actual closed candles around the floor. You see right here, we see a wick at the floor. So sellers have ultimately kept us lower on each retest and have gotten down slightly lower on the way back down. What you want to see is them to step in right here, get that movement up as the support is held pretty nicely, that 446. Say we top right around this zone and we get a movement back down for the, fourth time. It would definitely be looking like the sellers would be gaining that move. But as for right now, I think we do get that bounce. There's been a lot of back and forth, but in the big picture of things, if we look on the weekly, we've broken that obvious range of that descending triangle. It has been forming for some time, broken that resistance, and we've had a very nice movement out. Buyers in that ultimate control. We still are within this range, so as long as we stay within that, 446 to 520, there's nothing to freak out about. We could just be building energy within this range. So tomorrow, guys, look for that bounce and buyers starting to regain that control, as well as volume to start seeping back in the stock. And for the bulls, look for a higher move up, not holding lower again. For the bears, look for either the break tomorrow or watch for that retest and hold lower. That would be a bearish sign. But yeah, we stand bullish. We think we'll get that bounce here and retest these, previous levels, get past those, ultimately retesting that 520. And we still have a price target of that 540 and the longer price target of $6 on the channel. All right, guys, that's all I got for you. Let me know your Nio price predictions in the comments below. Where do you guys think this stock is headed? Are we getting the bounce here and that retest of 520? Or are we going to flush? Are sellers going to gain that control? Definitely look for that bounce. If we can't get that bounce, I'll look for that $4 to hold. And for the bears, if we get that bounce, I'll look for a lower high once again to form and a retest of that bottom. If you guys want to see more Nio videos, make sure to like and subscribe. And as always, trade smart. And I'll see you all in the next one.